So where it stopped, this is gonna be part 3, guys. If you're enjoying the story, just stay tuned. I'm gonna link this to scripture, guys, but let's just, you know, go through the story first. Okay, so we're on page 73. So you know, the coyote wants to sing to make the hole smaller and bigger, but she had a secret agenda in her mind, where she's like, you know, yeah, the mistake thinks that I want to make this hole bigger, but really I actually want to make the mistake smaller. But the mistake hears her and then grabs Coyote's nose. So grabs her nose, and then that one pulls her by the mouth and the nose so she can't sing. And that one jumps up and down on Coyote until she's flat. So she's jumping on Coyote in that small hole, jumping up on her until she's flat. Then that one leaps out of that hole. So the mistake gets out of the hole, wanders around looking for things to do. Okay? So the mistake gets out of the hole and is looking for things to do. Well, Coyote is pretty bad. Coyote is feeling pretty bad, all flat, a nice fur coat full of stump holes. So she thinks hard and she thinks about a healing song. Okay, now she wants to heal herself. Now we see that, you know, Coyote is actually healing, doing stuff, and she's fixing stuff through music, and she thinks about a healing song and she tries to sing a healing song, but her mouth is in other places. Okay, so she's been so stumped, like her eyes is probably somewhere, her mouth is probably somewhere, you know, and she thinks harder and tries to sing that song through her nose, but her nose don't make any sound, just drip a lot. She tries to sing that song out of her ears, but those ears don't hear anything. So that silly one thinks real hard and tries to sing out of her butthole. Psst, psst. This is what that butthole says, and right away things don't smell so good in that hole. Okay, boy, Coyote thinks something smells. That Coyote lies there flat and practice. Pretty soon, maybe 2 days, maybe 1 year, she teach that butthole to sing that song, that healing song. So that butthole sings that song, and Coyote begins to feel better, and Coyote don't feel so flat anymore. Psst, psst. Things smell pretty bad, but Coyote is okay. That one look around in that hole, find her mouth, put that. Okay, let's just go back. And that one look around in that hole, find her mouth. Okay, put her mouth back. So she says to that butthole, okay, you can stop singing now, you can stop making them smells now, but you know that butthole is liking all that singing, so that butthole keeps on singing. So that one, we're talking about that mistake, you know. Let's see what the mistake is doing here. Is looking around in that hole. Although we see like that one, the mistake, leaps out of the hole. Who knows what that one is actually doing in the hole? You know, trying to survey, you know, the Coyote. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that Coyote, the mistake, I just to myself, the mistake is surveying. The mistake is surveying. Okay, the Coyote. It's monitoring the Coyote. So she says to that butthole, okay, you can stop singing now, you can stop making them the healing song, you can actually stop worshiping, you can stop worshiping now, you can stop doing everything now, stop worshiping, right? Stop worshiping, it says, through your butthole, right? Stop worshiping through your butthole. Stop, says Coyote. So Coyote is telling him, like, stop, you know, telling the mistake. You're going to stink up the whole world, but it don't. So Coyote jumps out of that hole. Okay, cool. Okay, you can stop singing now. Da, da, da. So Coyote then tells the butthole, right? So Coyote tells the butthole, which is funny. I think it's actually funny. You can stop, you're going to stink up the whole world, but it don't. So Coyote jumps out of that hole and runs across the prairies real fast, but that butthole follows her. Psst, psst. Coyote jumps into a lake, but that butthole don't drown. It just keep on singing. So the Coyote is relentless. The butthole is relentless. The butthole is literally following the Coyote, singing. And you know, even though the Coyote jumps into the lake, the butthole follows him, but the butthole doesn't drown, but he keeps singing. hey, who is doing all that singing? Someone says. So someone says who's doing all that. We don't know who that person is. And you know, yes, and who is making that bad smell? Says another voice. Another person says it must be the coyote. Said the third voice. Yes, says the fourth voice. I believe it is Coyote. Okay, I told you some interactive story here. That coyote sits in my chair, put that nose in my tea, right? Says, I know who that voice is. It is that big mistake playing a trick. Okay, the big mistake is a trickster. A trickster. Okay, nothing else is made yet. Okay, Coyote hasn't made anything. It made just one thing, just that one big mistake, and it's been struggling with that, you know, struggling with the mistake. Okay, I says that mistake is doing other things. So that mistake is just going about doing other things. Then those voices are spirits, says Coyote. So so the Coyote A is then talking to, now we see like the grandmother is actually still talking, like, you know, there's a voice, there's another voice that's trying to discourage the the coyote. You know, the coyote is trying to run away from his butthole. Butthole is singing, yeah. You know, and then, you know, the big mistake is still patronizing the coyote. Like, it's like, hey, who is doing all that singing? Someone says, we don't know who that person is. Yes, and who is making that bad smell? Another voice says it must be the coyote. It says a third voice. Another voice says, like, you know, I believe it is Coyote, you know. And now, you know, the coyote, that's the Coyote A, and I like the way they said that coyote sits in my chair, puts her nose in my tea, says, you know, gets into the story and says, I know who that voice is. That is the big mistake playing a trick. Nothing else is made yet, right? So we see like the coyote is still like patronizing the creator Coyote B, you know, just causing a nuisance, right? And she says, no, I says that coyote is doing other things. Those voices are spirits, says Coyote. And grandmother says, no, I says them voices belong to them ducks. Okay, so now we see like it's not actually the big mistake that's actually talking to the creator Coyote. It's actually the ducks. So we've actually introduced a new characters into the story now, which is basically the ducks. So the ducks are, you know, telling him, like, you know, like, who's singing, who's doing all that singing, like, what's that bad smell? Do you understand? Coyote stand up on my it must be the voices of the ducks. Coyote stand up on my chair. She says, where did them ducks come from? Right? So the Coyote A is asking, like, where did them ducks come from? And she's like, calm down. I said, this story is going to be okay. This story is going to be just fine. This story knows where it is going. Sit down, keep your skin on. Okay, so Coyote look around and she sees them 4 ducks in that lake. She says, where did the ducks come from? I didn't make you yet, right? So it's funny because, like, the coyote, there's a separation of Coyote A and Coyote B, when in fact Coyote A and Coyote B are the same. Okay, and we talked about, you know, grandmother and Coyote B actually interacting with each other, but then grandmother is putting Coyote B and Coyote as the main character of this story that we're talking about, and she places him as, you know, the creator, okay, and the fixer, and she puts him into the scene where, you know, as Coyote was trying to create something, Coyote makes a mistake, you know, and then, you know, we see this another character come into the scene, you know, and those characters are actually the duck, you know, and we're gonna see the interaction between, you know, Coyote, doesn't matter whether it's A and B, we know it's still the same Coyote, interacting with the ducks. Okay, so I've given you different analyses, but it's a story and you can interpret it in many different ways as you want, but essentially it all comes down to a moral. Okay, so calm down, I says. My story is going to be okay. That I keep your skin on. Coyote look around. She sees 4 dogs in that lake hole. She says, where did you dogs come from? I didn't make you yet. Yes, says them dogs, we're waiting around, but you didn't come, right? Yes, says them dogs, we're waiting around, but you didn't come. So we got tired of waiting, so we did it ourselves. We was in a hole. Says Coyote, like we were the Coyote was supposed to create a dog, but the Coyote was actually busy. Like it wasn't. We said we were in a hole. Coyote and the big mistake were in a hole, so we couldn't have made you. So the dogs were like, well, we waited, but you know you didn't come, so we just like came out of where? Psst, psst. What's that noise? Says them dogs. What's that bad smell? Never mind, says Coyote. Maybe we've seen something go by. Maybe we can help. Maybe you can help me find something I lost. Maybe you can help me get it back. Those dogs swim around and talk to themselves. Was it something awful to look at? Yes, says Coyote. It certainly was. Was it something with ugly fur? Yes, says Coyote. I think it had to. He had that too. Okay, was it something that made a lot of noise? Says them dogs. Yes, it was pretty noisy, says Coyote. Did it smell bad? Them dogs want to know. Yes, says Coyote. I guess you dogs have seen my something. Yes, says them dogs. It is right there behind you. Right, so Coyote is looking for his butthole. So that Coyote turns around and there is nothing there. It's still behind you, says those dogs. So Coyote turns around again and she don't see nothing. Psst, psst. Boy, says those dogs, what a noise, what a smell. They say that too. What an ugly thing with all that fur. Never mind, says that Coyote again. That too is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something else. Maybe you're looking for Indians, says those dogs. Well, that Coyote, okay, so she, never mind. Okay, so what a noise, what a smell. Never mind, says the Coyote again. This is not what I'm looking for. I'm looking for something else. So I feel like she finds a butthole and she's like, and the dogs were like, maybe you're looking for Indians. Well, that Coyote is real surprised because she hasn't created Indians, so like how would the dogs know either? Boy, says that one, mischief is everywhere and this world is getting bent, right? All right, so Coyote and those dogs are talking and pretty soon they hear a noise and pretty soon there is something coming, right? And page 76, those dogs says ho 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 ho. They say that like they see trouble, but it is not trouble. What comes along is a river. Hello, says that river. Nice day. Maybe you want to take a swim. But Coyote don't want to swim, and she looks at that river and she looks at that river again. Something's not right here, she says. What are those rocks? What are those rapids, and what did you do with them waterfalls? How come you're so straight? And Coyote is right. That river is nice and straight and smooth without any bumps or twists. It runs both ways too, not like a modern river. We got to fix this, says Coyote, and she does. She puts on some rocks in that river and she fixes it, and so it only runs one way. So we find like the river actually runs two ways, both ways too, not like a modern river. So like we see like there's emphasis on modernization, right? So you see like the Coyote is trying to fix things, and we see like the big mistake is going ahead too, and we can see here that it's the big mistake that actually made the river, okay, the river that's talking to the Coyote and the ducks, right? And you know, the river is actually nice and straight and smooth without any bumps and twists, okay, without any bumps and twists. But they interpreted it as the river running both ways too, okay, not the river runs both ways too, not like a modern river, okay? Keep that in mind. The river, it runs both ways too, not like a modern river. We got to fix this, says Coyote, and she does, okay? So the Coyote is wanting to fix it more like a modern river, okay, that has a modern river has what, bumps and has twists, and it is what? One way. Okay, that's what they're saying. That's what King is saying. Okay, Thomas King. All right, so we got to fix this, says Coyote, and she does, you know, and she puts some rocks in that river. She fixes it, and so it only runs one way, and she puts a couple of waterfalls in, and you know, makes a bunch of rapids where things get shallow fast, right? So yeah, so things get really shallow fast. Okay, Coyote is tired with all this work, and those dogs are tired just watching. So that Coyote sits down and she closes her eyes, so she puts her nose in her tail. So those dogs shout, wake up, something big is heading this way. And they are right. Mountain comes sliding along, okay, whistling, real happy mountain, nice and round. This mountain is full of grapes and other good things to eat. Apples, peaches, cherries. Howdy do, says that polite mountain. Nice day from whistling. Coyote looks at that mountain, and that one shakes her head. Oh no, she says, this mountain is all wrong. How come you're so nice and round? Where are those craggy peaks? Where are all them cliffs? What happened to all that snow? Boy, you got to fix this thing too. So she does. So Coyote, now we see, finds error in literally, excuse me,